win this one. This is what you want to see. Day, though, converting. Looks like those teams clash, so they may have lost in the process, but they've gotten 2 eliminations out of that. Okay, Miro's back up, so never mind. They're just getting easy eliminations on the low ground, but that's going to be risky now. Have you lost a lot of your meds? Have you lost a lot of your material in that fight? And are you making the late rotate? Never mind. They look completely healthy, Monster. This is scary for every other team in the lobby right now. They are here to play.
I was going to say, it also shows that exactly they're here to play. They're not messing up. And even if they do, they're popping off. The clutch, the follow-ups, it's everything you're looking for in a trio. And on high ground, though, let's talk about it. The legacy that they need to cement some top-type finish here for Zayt, Stretch, and Saf to continue their run of, just performing a top 10 every single time in these big final stages. They have a lot to prove, a lot to put up for.
I mean, 5 eliminations on the board. They're looking good right now. Zayt's got 2 rockets left, so a little bit of power to push down the lobby. 67 builds, so we've seen this team force a lot of high ground takes, lose their high ground late around that second rotating zone, so keep eyes on this. This is not secure by any means. Zayt, Saf, and Stretch are losing their crown as the high ground kings. They have lost it many times in this situation, but you see Zayt, he has learned. He is going a few layers up. He is going another step above, so any team that tries to late retake this, either with a bouncer or building up from behind, don't have a chance. And he's not saving that RPG for pressure. He's using it for damage. That was a double tag into those builds. They're trying to get eliminations right now. They're looking very, very comfortable. And this is what we talked about, changing the narrative. That is a team that is not even inside top 15, but they have the chance at a victory royale, taking the points that other teams need even more. But Damir and Reverse, they have no, it's not even crossing their mind to go for high ground right now, Monster. They are so comfortable down here.
No, this is where they want to be. This is where they like to play. It's the mid and the low ground layers. I mean, we've thrown around the low ground king title a few times, right? Over the last couple seasons, we had Xset running it. We have obviously Scented Commandment and Crew, but let's not forget, Reverse 2K at the end of the day proved to everyone why they are champions and why respect needs to be put on this trio's name. And you know what? When Reverse is up and leading his team, they will earn more placements. The history shows it. The numbers are there to prove it. And he's up right now, so we can guarantee they're making it all the way through. And we might be looking at a good old 3v3, the best of the height and possibly the best of the low.
Miro is just dropping eliminations that we're not even seeing on screen right now on the back of Tough. He's now got 3 right now. This is huge. They have 7 eliminations on the board as we have 9 teams, 22 players. You talked about it then, Monster. We've seen so many legendary 3v3 endgames this weekend. Are we going to see yet again another? The Kings of the Height versus the Kings of the Low. I don't know where Sensei Edgy Commandment are in this one. I think they're just kind of pulling around. They are still here. Acorn takes down Dom, though. We might see more than a 3v3. There is a very good chance we're setting up for a 3v3 against teams who need this so much. Yes, Zayt, Saf, and Stretch are down on the leaderboards, but they have pride to play for, and with 6 phenomenal games, you never know what could happen as we drop an entire trio in. Beautiful positioning from Miro there, gets it to the wood cone, the harpoon breaks wood builds instantly, drops down the whole trio, and pulls out the big tack shotgun. The shots are breaking out. They're not on the low now. They've come up onto the mid ground because they know there's more players here, Monster. More players, more eliminations.
And that's what you want. You want all the points. This is the team that likes to do it just like that. Here it is. All of a sudden, they go from low and a little bit lower, and they jump on into the box. And here it is. Miro's going to follow up. It's onto Crunchy. Wipes him out of the competition. His trio's still here, though. We are still looking at top 5 as Miro finally gets exchanged out. And it is Commandment and Edgy. They step in, and they bring that firepower. They're trying to show us something. I think they're trying to say something about that low ground layer. They push off one of the best there.
They said, hey, you guys went up on the mid ground. We hear the commentators talking about it. They're saying you're coming after our title. Now, we're still down here. We're playing the low ground. We have feet on the ground.
Gosh.
As Scented Edgy, Jack, Acorn, Slacks go down. Day takes down Jack in the feed. Scented converts onto Acorn. We have 3 teams, 8 players alive right now. So it looks like we've got a 3v3v2, Reverse 2K and Day. What a phenomenal performance here. Even if they go down now, they've already done so much here. But Stretch, Zayt, and Saf are setting up for this. Stretch is on the high ground. He's popping the med kit. He's going for the heal off. We haven't seen too many heal off wins here, but does he have it? It's right on cue. I don't know if he got this off in time. He does. Commandment is down there. Well, looks like we might see Scented Edgy Commandment with the 2nd place. Stretch, Zayt, and Saf come out with the victory royale. Monster, we've talked about kind of titles. We've talked about legacies. This team has so many Game 1 victory royales. It is insane. I think we saw them do it 3 weeks in a row during the last FNCS. Now they show up here on day 2, Game 1. Like, man, they just come out so strong.
They always start off so strong, but listen, hats off to Commandment, who had 14 eliminations as a trio. Edgy.
Whoa, okay.
They come up, they pop off. Yes, they had 14 elims. And then our first place team, Dave, Miro, and Reverse, you can't count them out. They were also there. Top 3 is where all the points are.
I mean, you got to think, are they feeling nervous? But they come out on the first game and get a 3rd place. That's more than enough to cement themselves in that 1st place.
Yeah, definitely. But listen, we have more to break down. We're going to toss it over to the boys to see what they have to think about this.
About this, MDF, my brother from another mother, I think you just upgraded the mic and you look incredible. Oh, the game. Oh, yeah, my bad. Sorry about that.
Game.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Vivian. I got you. Absolutely, I'm surprised, right? Especially off the performance coming yesterday. You had Saf, Stretch, and Zayt. They came in with not the greatest of showing, right? This is a trio that came in from the reboot round. And today they're saying, look, yesterday didn't even matter. Let's just pretend it never happened. Because today, we're making our mark.
Yeah, you know, and Zayt, Saf, and Stretch have the record for the highest amount of first game wins in any tournament. They didn't get that today, but you know what? Day 2, technically, you know, it's a game 1 of some sorts, but, you know, going in, we want to kind of check out of our top teams going into the day, you know. The top 3 teams we had. In 3rd place at the start of the day, we had Skills, DGen, and Agers. This game, you know, started off reasonably strong. It wasn't an amazing game. It wasn't a kind of a shambles game for them. 9th place, picking up plenty of placement points here, but also managing to get 5 eliminations throughout the entire game. So pretty strong start for this team. Like I said, not that top 3 with a big placement, but a reasonably okay game to keep them moving in that top slot.
Yeah, and I want to, you know, okay, well, there you go. Nice shot coming out of whoever just hit that on the DJ there. Something that I want to talk about real quick, though, is that Zayt, Saf, and Stretch, you know, they got the victory out there, but looking over here, Commandment, Sent, and Edgy actually ended up getting 9 more points in them in that game, so, you know, the elims have been flowing in for them.
Yeah, you know, Slacks, Acorn, and Jack came into the day 2nd. Now, these guys really performing, and this last game, you know, we saw Commandment sit edgy. We talked about 14 eliminations. You know, you heard Monster say it there himself. However, these guys went under the radar, picking up 10 eliminations themselves. And if you notice their positioning on the zone, it's gone now, but their positioning was fantastic. We saw all those teams in that 4th zone be super congested in that northeast corner. They wrapped around the south side, keeping away from the amount of teams that were there, giving themselves a really nice position set up for the moving zone.
Yeah, and as we saw there, Miro kind of getting some stat padding in, eliminating a shark so that way he can keep those eliminations per day up. But again, we're just looking at it right here. How good they are at working as a team to pick up these in. Look at this. You know, Miro is the one that ends up getting this elim here, but Reverse and Day are right there, right beside him. They do a really good job of finding these elims together as a trio.
Yeah, incredible. And that's one of the things that you're going to notice about these top tier teams. Even right now, Acorn, Slacks, and Jack, they're fighting. Look at the spacing between these 3. They're almost touching each other. They're so close. And when you're in a position where you have a lot of your builds and a lot of enemy builds around you, you have to be careful. You know, you can't be getting too separated from your team, because if you manage to get too separated, you're going to be picked up by someone else at that point. So great spacing. You're going to watch all the top teams when they're in a dicey situation. They're always going to be sticking together so well like that.
Yep. Cohesive gameplay is really important, especially when it comes to team game modes like trios. You want to make sure that all 3 of you are on the same page, making the same edits. You're aware of what your teammate is about to edit, so that way you can get those shots in at the same exact time.
It's so cool to see just like kind of the differences. I would say like that your top trios are coming into this so much more calculated, right? They're running these numbers in their mind like, what do we need to do? And they're executing so well. But now we got to take a look at our standings. We got to see how things are going. Remember, this is a cumulative standings. So after the first game here of 6, Day, Miro, Reverse, they're still holding on to this lead, at least for right now, Reese.
Yeah, because, you know, right now, the teams in terms of 1st and 2nd, which is Day, Miro, Reverse, Slacks, Acorn, and Jack, this is pretty much the same gap that they had going into this first game of the day. You know, from that first day, they had roughly the same points between each other. So, you know, like Day, Miro, and Reverse, 10 eliminations in 3rd, and Slacks, Acorn, and Jack, 10 eliminations in 4th. They've pretty much played the exact same game. You know, they're very close in terms of the outcome of that game, although despite the fact their gameplay was very different. You know, we saw Commandment, Sent, and Edgy moving up and overtaking DJ and Agers and Skills there with that 2nd place with 14 eliminations. So that was a really massive game for them. And, you know, we've talked a lot about them and their huge ability to get eliminations.
Yeah, and coming out of yesterday, the point differential between Commandment, Scented, and Edgy and Reverse's trio was 38 points. And I believe looking at that leaderboard there, it was around 20. So Scented, Edgy, and Commandment are really making a run for this first place slot because they are closing that gap. You mentioned that the gap between Day, Reverse, and Mira and Slax's trio is about the same. However, we still do have these other trios that are making a climb and making this a race for first place.
Yeah, and you know, any of the teams that you're seeing here, 16th down till 20th, they are not out of the battle by any means. You know, there's still 5 games left, 30 points for the Victory Royale, plus any eliminations you get on top of that can move you hugely up the leaderboards. And once you get to that top 10 slot, every single placement above that becomes more and more prize money at the end of these 2 days. So these guys, anything to play for right now, and still, there's still 5 more games. I'm excited to see how they play out.
Hey, it can still go any which way, right? We could just have one team like Zaf, Satan, Stretch. They could just keep winning games back to back and suddenly from reboot round win it all. Anything is possible when it comes to Fortnite. But now it is time to jump into the next game on the day. So let's send it back to our casters to take us in.
Something special watching second, third, and the, of course, first place team going toe-to-toe in that final game. That was incredible. It's keeping the standings nice and close here as we're coming into this next round of Fortnite. This is going to be match 8 of 12 that'll be unfolding here. And again, we just got a small taste of the guys popping off, keeping their consistency from day 1 into day 2. And now new teams on day 2 needing to step up here and again, make themselves relevant. Let themselves be heard here.
Yeah, and this is it right now. This is where a lot of the storylines are going to come out of. Zap and Stretch here at the Hydra Dam, they don't have it uncontested. They need to win this fight so they can go on to have those performances we just saw from them that we know they can. Stretch is going to... Ooh, nice. I like that. If you just wonder what happened there, Stretch actually just talked to the Ghost of Ruckus and managed to purchase one of the blue lever action shotgun. One of the big things about Ruckus not a lot of players know about is once you eliminate Ruckus, you get, yes, that RPG and that legendary heavy assault rifle. You can still interact with him to make sure you want to buy some of the good loot as well. Always selling some variation of a lever action shotgun. It is huge. And Stretch now goes from having no shotgun to a blue lever action. Just, again, the kind of knowledge you need to have on these days in these formats, because that is going to turn this fight huge here as Stretch now gets handed the RPG to see what he can do with it. Breaking down the door to try and find an angle in. I think Stretch knows they're at the back of this one, trying to find a way around the corner. Remember, this is your game #1 Victory Royale here, so even though they didn't have a huge performance yesterday, if they walk away from Hydro Dam right now, they are taking points away from other teams that need them potentially even more. So this is a huge storyline that develops. If Predator Quits can walk away from this one, walk away with the loot, or Jack Acorn Slacks, our second place team, can get their hands on the RPG, this would be massive, Monster.
And look what just happened there. Zate was actually playing Sentinel, looking out in the distance there for Acorn, Jack, and Slacks for the rotate on in, and he spotted them. And that's why they rotate back. While Commandment and Stretch were trying to close the fight in on Predator and Equits. So the little things that make the difference. And for Zate being on high ground, look, Jack, Acorn, and Slacks, they back off because they saw him putting presence down. That's preparation. That's strategy. As we hop over to another fight. This fight's been going on for 2 days now, for 8 rounds of Fortnite. And who's going to walk away with this one this time around? Chap finally looks like he's actually in the lead here. Their trio's been losing this for the most part.
No, it's such an awkward fight there. No, we saw EU. We saw everything end here on the stacks for EU, but everything's going to start here for Chap's team. He has one build. He is stranded, and he goes down. You said this fight's been going on for 2 days, Monster, but this fight has been going on for weeks and months. These teams have been going up against each other during practice games, during qualifiers. We saw them go head-to-head. I believe it was in qualifying week 1 where we actually saw Bully's team come 9th or 10th place, I believe, to make it through into the heats against Chap's team. So Bully's team yesterday came out of the spawn fights way more often than they didn't, and when they did come out, they performed better than Chap's team right now. Unfortunately for Chap, his team has found its match, and it is going to take, I mean, I don't even think at this point they can come back in any real way, Monster, but I talked about it. That is one of the 2 players here today who has come top 10 in every single finals appearance they've been in. Chap's reputation is on the line, and I don't know if he can bring it back.
Yeah, you need just a string of big games. We're talking victories and everything in between. it will be tough for them to fight for. But again, the thing about the way even the prizing breaks out, you want to fight, right? You want to get those high placing spots, top 15 and above, definitely get that nice prizing bump up. That's where things start to get upgraded for everyone here in the competition today. So this final setting, there's a lot to fight for. Obviously, it's the FNCS Championship belt on the line, right? The Axe of Champions, if you will. Then you have up the top 3 that can get invited to the next FNCS competitive major, which we already know is happening. We saw the roadmap there, and then there's surprising, the big breakdown. So there's so much different incentives. Everyone has a bit of a different story, something else on the stakes, on the line.
You know what I'd like to point out as well, Monster, I think it's kind of flown under the radar. The top 5 teams right now are all teams that played the last FNCS together, except for Bucky, Kanata, and Macwood. They are the only new team on the block, but our top 4 are all trios who played together last FNCS. So any one of them getting top 3 here today, guaranteeing an invite into the next FNCS finals would be massive. If you look at the leaderboard right now, if Commandment Sends and Edgy can get that 1 point that separates them from 3rd and 2nd, that was our last FNCS 1st and 2nd. Day's team coming 1st, Center's team coming 2nd. So this leaderboard is looking so close, and it's showing other players that consistency of teammates sticking together, building that chemistry will go such a long way. It is not a coincidence that all the top teams right now are teams that have been playing together for multiple seasons.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to bring that up there. That's pretty much the next point, right? Is like, yeah, this region has definitely proven what happens when you build chemistry with teammates. You build up the skill levels, you hold each other accountable, and you not only that, you stick to a drop spot, right? You come up consistently. We've seen a lot of these teams carry these drop spots season after season, and we know season, map changes, we get different things introduced, I should say, features, right, to the game. You never really know what's going to come in the Fortnite world, but when you stick with one another, that's how you build up the reputation, and that's how you get the skill to succeed.
And I think what's also even more interesting about Damir and Reverse's team, they're doing it out of a different drop spot though. So right now, they are actually going an entirely different drop spot. Last time their success came out of, over near the Sweaty Sands area, they went Fort Crumpet and they went the area around there, a non-POI location. And that's what built up their respect in the region, where today and yesterday when they said, hey, we're going to go Dirty Docks, no one argued it. No one tried to contest them. So they built up that reputation, but you have Centered, Edgy, Commandment who have gone Misty both seasons in a row now. So I am so impressed by Reverse 2K especially. I feel like we give a lot of hype to Damir and how many eliminations they put on the board, but at the same time, Reverse 2K is the brains of that team, and he puts in so much work and preparation with his competitive pedigree. He's been around since before World Cup on how they play these games. You can't overstate how impressive that is to go an entirely new drop spot on the finals, put it all together, and be in 1st place coming into day 2. That is huge.
Yeah, you talk about him being a part of the scene since before World Cup. We're talking the summer skirmish days, right? I remember the first time he won that big 80,000 back then in prizing. I got him on the podcast. We actually interviewed him. It was awesome, dude. Super humble, really getting to see his perspective. His journey has been incredible. And he was counted out of the community for so long, really not being a part of the scrim community, if you will, right? Being one of those oddball kind of just, hey, he's going to do his own thing. And didn't have, I'd say, the high-level friends to play with. I think that makes a difference, too. That's something people don't really talk about. It's like, when you're training with the best, you're also growing with the best.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously know as well the impact that Alpha's had on NA East for the longest time. It really is where some of the biggest pros are, and a lot of people talk about it. The people you associate with, they're really going to help you practice and build as a player as well with that motivation. As we see Clicks, Bizzle, and Booga now trying to close this one out here. Justice and Spegu are pinned down inside Sweaty. I believe this is a 3v2 unless I'm missing something. No, maybe that is the trio mate coming up from behind as well. As we've got our quick stat coming in. 24 different players had a sniper elimination on day 1, and NA East record this FNCS. So hearts are being broken, storylines are being written on the back of those snipes, and we saw it on EU as well. We saw the big teams that can hit the big snipes come out on top. I've seen just a highlight reel of snipes coming out of Hen and Chapik's team, and look how well that went for them.
Yes, sir. Those highlights, man. Those snipers, and NA, no strangers to the snipers. Even in that last game, we saw Zayt and Saf holding a sniper each individually, which, normally you don't see 2 snipers on the team, but sometimes that's just how the loadout's going to be built together. But as Clicks, Booga, and Bizzle right now are really trying to poise up for this fight here, Spegu, Justice, and Goku don't want to take the extended battle. They're backing off. They're playing super shy here, timid to take the fight, and, I mean, for good reason. Clicks, Booga, Bizzle, they have a lot of ground to make up.
They got a lot of ground to make up here, and they had a fantastic game yesterday. They showed they can put a victory out on the board right now, I believe. No, Zayt, Sap, and Stretch now after their victory out in game number 1 of day 2 here. That was the team that is now the lowest on leaderboard with a victory out, but previously that was Booga's team. They're in 8th place right now with 1 victory out, just breaking the triple digits total now on 100.